Has a whiskey ever changed your mind? These 5 changed mine. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Bourbon Hutch. Thanks so much for joining me on this journey through the world of whiskey. So yeah, these 5 whiskeys, in some way, shape, or form, changed my mind. Some of them contributed to me seeing a whole different category of whiskey differently. Some changed my mind about a price point or a proof point. But all together, each one of them has in some way impacted my whiskey journey pretty significantly, how I view collecting, buying whiskey, tasting whiskey, and sent me in certain different directions or trajectories. Has that ever happened to you? I'd be curious to know. Let me know in the comments below. And as you watch this video, be thinking about what are the whiskeys that have changed my mind or altered my perspective in this journey through the world of whiskey. All right, let's get into my list. The first one was pretty obvious to me because it changed my whole mind about a whole category, and that is Pikesville Rye. So this is an empty bottle because I enjoyed every last drop of it, and that was my first experience really enjoying rye whiskey. A little bit of a cheater game here because this is a barely legal rye at around 51% rye, but it was a great transition from bourbon to rye for me. It's got a nice 110 proof. It's very robust, but has that rye kick and that rye spice for sure, and I ended up loving it. That has opened the floodgates in a lot of ways. I found myself digging into rye a ton. In fact, a lot of the stuff I picked up recently, just in the last month or so, has been rye, and it all started with Pikesville kind of opening my mind and turning me not ultimately away from bourbon, but just giving me a whole new avenue to explore. All right, next bottle on the list took me to the heights of proof that I had never gone to before, and that is Jack Daniel's single barrel proof bourbon. So for me, I started off, not knowing anything about whiskey, kind of getting into the journey on my own, drank a lot of the stuff that was in that 80 to 100 proof and felt it, I think it takes a good while to really acquaint your palate with proof. This Jack Daniel's single barrel proof was the first time I'd ever tasted anything over 130 proof, and it rocked my world. But I also found myself able to detect huge amounts of flavor. So great brown sugar and vanilla and banana on this too. And I was just surprised by how it really could turn that dial of flavor way up. So I was a little wary at first, hadn't really ventured that far into high proof, and this really showed me that high proof can equal high flavor. And that has, again, sent me on a path that I'm not really afraid of anything high proof at all. In fact, I'm often looking for it, knowing it could be quite awesome. All right, next bottle on the list gives us a U-turn, because once you go high proof, you tend to seek that out. But don't forget about bottles like this. Michter's Sour Mash. So this is 86 proof. That's what I thought. Once you're a proof hound, once you go, super high proof with things like Jack Daniel's and Elijah Craig barrel proof and all that, you can get a little bit obsessed or even, dare I say it, snobby around proof points. This bottle came into my life at a time and reminded me that low proof can be flavorful too. I had started to really drift into just getting higher proof stuff. Then I picked this up and man, the amount of apple, brown sugar, good cinnamon. It's just a really nice whiskey and it's low proof. And it reminded me, changed my mind kind of back to a balanced state of, hey, pretty low proof can be awesome. Pretty high proof can be awesome. Having both as options is extra awesome. So definitely credit Michter's Sour Mash for reintroducing me to and not letting me go too far down the avenue of just being a high proof kind of guy. So don't underestimate the low proof options. Okay, next on the list really gets after changing your mind around price points. For me, that bottle was Bardstown Bourbon Company's Discovery Series number 8. So I was able to get this bottle and have it signed by the master distiller at the Bardstown Bourbon Festival a couple of years ago. It was the first time I think I had spent over $100 on a bottle of whiskey. It's $140 MSRP. I was wary about it. I was also a little tipsy at the festival, so that helped me pull the trigger for sure. But man, oh man, am I glad I did. This is a phenomenal whiskey and well worth that price point if you ask me. I've now got Discovery Series 11, which is at the same price point, and that might be even better, to be honest with you. So when the Discovery Series is on, it's totally worth that price point. And once you kind of break that threshold of $100, the sky's the limit with what you're willing to pay. And I had the channel by that point, and I was starting to gain a little momentum. So it made buying more whiskey for the channel and for my enjoyment as well a little bit easier. So I understand if you still hesitate around certain price points or if you set a cap for yourself. But for me, this bottle really changed my mindset and was like, okay, so whiskey's over $100 can really deliver awesome flavors and maybe even give me the quality of whiskey that I couldn't get otherwise if you get the right one. So it definitely shifted my mind and let me go beyond that $100 price point and feel good about it. All right, last bottle on the list is by far the most sentimental and is kind of the reason all of this is happening in the first place, meaning this channel, and that is Maker's Mark FAE02. So this was the first ever bottle I highlighted on the channel that I reviewed. I found it, got lucky enough to grab one right as it was coming out, and just felt so proud, really enjoyed it, wanted to share about it, and decided to post on YouTube. I had been watching so much of the content from others to orient myself as I started collecting whiskey, and figured I should contribute to the conversation. So this really changed my mind about the community, about starting a YouTube channel, about putting it out there and just kind of sharing my thoughts. So this is what set me on the path to, starting the Bourbon Hutch. Didn't really change my mind from I was against doing YouTube or anything like that, but it did change my mind in terms of what I thought was possible and what I was willing to share. And so definitely forever grateful to this bottle in particular. All right, everybody, that's gonna do it. That's my list. Each of these 5 whiskeys in some way, shape, or form, again, has changed my mind. Would love to hear in the comments below if you've got whiskeys that have had a similar effect on you and what they were. And maybe, what point you were at in your whiskey journey that they triggered a change. While you're at it, please consider hitting the like button on this video. That's what gets it out to the most people. And then if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to the channel. That's how you can get access immediately to all the content that I create. And hopefully you'll join us for the journey of the rest of 2024 and beyond. Okay, everybody, until I see you guys again for another video, all I can say is keep drinking good whiskey, keep an open mind, and cheers.